She didn't miss you when you were there. She misses you when you're gone. And that shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens because something inside her finally wakes up when your presence is no longer available to take for granted. The real question is, what exactly flips that switch? You see, when a woman has consistent access to you, your attention, your time, your emotional availability, something subtle begins to change in her perception. Not because she's a bad person, but because human psychology adapts quickly to certainty. When she knows you'll always be there, responding, showing up, investing, your presence slowly becomes predictable. And predictable, in the world of attraction, often gets mistaken for replaceable. At first, she loved how present you were. It made her feel secure, desired, chosen. But over time, that same consistency starts to lose its emotional intensity. The thrill fades, not because you did anything wrong, but because her mind no longer feels the need to fight for your attention. And what people don't fight for, they often stop valuing. This is where most men make a critical mistake. They believe that giving more attention, more reassurance, more effort will bring her closer again. But instead, it quietly reinforces the very dynamic that made her take you for granted in the first place. Because now, without realizing it, she holds the emotional power. She knows you're not going anywhere. And then, something changes. Maybe you pull back. Maybe life genuinely gets busy. Maybe you stop over-explaining, stop over-giving, stop chasing. Or maybe you simply realize your worth and shift your focus back onto yourself. Whatever the reason, your energy becomes less available, and suddenly, the emotional equation flips. Now she notices the silence. Now she feels the absence of your attention. Now she starts remembering the things she once overlooked. This is the moment where missing you begins, not when you were trying to prove your value, but when your presence is no longer guaranteed. Because absence does something powerful to the human mind. It creates space for reflection. It removes the constant stimulation she had grown used to, and in that quiet space, her brain starts replaying memories. The way you made her laugh. The way you understood her without her having to explain everything. The way you were there, consistently, effortlessly. And here's the part most people don't realize. She doesn't just miss you. She starts questioning herself. Why did she stop appreciating you? Why did she assume you'd always stay? Why does it feel different now that you're not as emotionally available? That internal questioning creates emotional tension. And tension is what reactivates attraction. Because now, instead of you chasing her attention, she's subconsciously chasing the feeling she lost. But it goes deeper than that. When a woman begins to miss a man she took for granted, it's not just about his absence. It's about the realization that she may have misjudged his value. And that realization can trigger something much stronger than simple nostalgia. It can trigger regret. And regret is powerful. Because unlike attraction, which can be passive, regret demands action. It pushes her to reach out, to test the connection again, to see if you're still the same man, or if she's already lost you. But here's where everything becomes unpredictable. Because once she starts missing you, once she feels that emotional pull again, the dynamic is no longer the same as it was before. Now the question isn't whether she'll come back. The real question is, when she does, will you still be the same man she once took for granted? Or will she be facing a version of you she can no longer control? The moment she starts to feel that shift, it unsettles her more than she'll ever admit. Because now, the version of you she had quietly categorized as always there becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability is where attraction quietly rebuilds itself. You have to understand something most men never fully grasp. A woman doesn't deeply feel your value when everything is stable, easy, and guaranteed. She feels it when there's a risk of losing it. Not in a manipulative way, but in a deeply human, psychological way. When certainty disappears, awareness sharpens. And suddenly, she starts seeing you through a completely different lens. She notices the space you used to fill in her life. The good morning texts that once felt routine now feel like something missing. The way you listened to her, validated her, gave her emotional comfort, those moments begin to replay in her mind, but this time with a sense of absence attached to them. And absence transforms memories. What once felt ordinary now feels meaningful. What once felt guaranteed now feels fragile. And what once felt replaceable now feels rare. But here's where it gets even more interesting. She doesn't immediately reach out. Instead, she watches. Silently. She pays attention to your behavior, your energy, your presence, especially if she still has access to you through social media or mutual circles. She's trying to understand if this change in you is temporary or if something deeper has shifted. Because if it's temporary, she can wait it out. She can assume you'll come back to the same version of yourself who gave her that emotional security without question. But if it's real, if she senses that you've actually evolved, detached, or redirected your focus, that's when the emotional pressure builds. Now she's no longer in control of the dynamic. And that loss of control creates a subtle anxiety that slowly turns into desire. She starts asking herself questions she never had to ask before. Who are you giving your attention to now? Are you talking to someone else? Have you emotionally moved on? Are you becoming someone she can't easily access anymore? And here's the truth that changes everything. It's not always you she's missing. It's how you made her feel. The emotional safety, the validation, the quiet confidence of knowing someone genuinely chose her. When that feeling disappears, it leaves a gap. And the human mind doesn't like gaps, it tries to fill them. That's when she starts reaching for you again, even if she doesn't fully understand why. But she won't come back in an obvious way at first. It might be subtle, a random message, a reaction to your story, a casual check-in that seems innocent on the surface, but carries deeper intent underneath. She's testing the waters, trying to feel your energy again without fully exposing her own. Because there's still one thing she's afraid of: rejection. Ironically, the same emotional position you were once in, she's now stepping into. And that's when the power dynamic truly begins to shift. Because now, for the first time, she's unsure of where she stands with you. She's no longer certain that you'll respond the same way, that you'll be as available, as emotionally invested, as predictable. And uncertainty creates emotional intensity. But here's where most men unknowingly ruin everything. The moment she reaches out, they fall back into old patterns. They respond instantly. They overengage. They give her the same access she once had without hesitation. And just like that, the mystery disappears again. The tension fades. And slowly, she begins to slip back into the same mindset where your presence feels guaranteed. That's why this moment, this exact phase where she starts missing you, is so critical. Because it's not just about her feelings, it's about how you respond to them. Do you go back to being the man she took for granted? Or do you become the man she realizes she might not get so easily anymore? Because the way you handle this determines whether her missing you turns into renewed attraction or fades into temporary curiosity. And what most people don't realize is, missing you is only the beginning. The real shift happens in what she feels next. And that next emotion is far more powerful than missing. What comes after she misses you is something far more intense and far more dangerous if you don't understand it. Because missing you creates emotion, but uncertainty creates obsession. At this stage, something deeper begins to take over her mind. It's no longer just about recalling how you made her feel, it's about trying to figure you out. And the moment someone starts trying to figure you out, they start investing mental and emotional energy into you again. She begins to analyze everything. Why did you change? Was it something she did? Did you lose interest? Or did you finally realize your worth? And the more she can't find clear answers, the more her thoughts start circling back to you. You become a question in her mind that she can't easily resolve. And unresolved emotions have a strange effect on attraction. They amplify it. Now she's not just passively missing you. She's actively thinking about you. Random moments in her day trigger memories of you. Songs, places, conversations, things that once felt neutral now carry emotional weight because they remind her of a version of connection she no longer fully has access to. And here's where it gets even more powerful. She starts to feel replaced, even if you haven't replaced her. The mere possibility that another woman could experience the version of you she once had begins to create emotional urgency. Because now, it's not just about losing you, it's about someone else gaining what you lost. That thought alone can intensify everything. Her curiosity turns into quiet jealousy. Her nostalgia turns into emotional attachment, and her detachment slowly dissolves, but she still won't fully show it. Instead, she moves closer in subtle ways. She might increase her presence in your life again, not all at once, but gradually. More messages, more reactions, more reasons to stay connected. It's not random, it's intentional, even if she doesn't consciously admit it. She's trying to rebuild the bridge without risking too much. Because deep down, she's still protecting her ego. And this is where your awareness becomes everything. Because if you don't recognize what's happening beneath the surface, you'll misread her actions as casual when they're actually loaded with emotional meaning. She's not just checking in, she's re entering your space. And how you respond in this phase determines whether she fully reinvests in you or pulls back again. If you become too available too quickly, you remove the very tension that brought her back. The mystery disappears, the emotional challenge fades, and she subconsciously relaxes again, knowing she has you. But if you stay grounded, if you maintain your self respect, your boundaries, your emotional control, something different happens. She leans in further. Because now you're no longer the man she can easily predict. You're the man she has to earn again. And that changes everything. Because attraction thrives in spaces where there's a balance between desire and uncertainty. Too much certainty kills it. Too much distance breaks it. But right in the middle, that's where obsession quietly grows. Now she starts to feel something she didn't feel before when you were constantly there. Respect. Not forced respect, but emotional respect. The kind that comes when she realizes you're not driven by neediness, but by self-worth. That your presence is a choice, not a dependency. And when a woman begins to respect you on that level, her attraction doesn't just return, it deepens. But here's the twist most men never see coming. Just when it feels like she's coming back stronger, more emotionally invested, more drawn to you than before, there's one final test. One moment where she subconsciously pushes the boundary again, just to see if you've truly changed, or if this is all temporary. And how you handle that moment decides everything. That final test doesn't look dramatic on the surface, but it carries more weight than anything that came before it. Because now she's not just feeling you again, she's trying to measure you. After the distance, after the silence, after the curiosity and the slow pull back toward you, there comes a moment where she subtly challenges the new version of you. Not consciously, not maliciously, but instinctively. She needs to know if the man she's feeling drawn to now is real or just a temporary shift. It might come in the form of inconsistency. One day she's warm, engaged, almost emotionally open again, and the next, she pulls back slightly, less responsive, slightly distant, just enough to see how you react. Or she might bring up something from the past, testing whether you fall back into old emotional patterns. Maybe she teases your availability, maybe she delays her replies, maybe she creates just a little bit of friction where things were starting to feel smooth again. And in that moment, everything is being decided. Because what she's really asking, without saying it, is this: are you still the man I once took for granted? Most men fail right here. They feel her pull back, and it triggers something in them. They start overthinking. They lean in harder. They try to fix the distance, not realizing that this reaction quietly confirms that nothing has truly changed. And the moment she senses that, the attraction she was rebuilding begins to collapse again. Not all at once, but subtly. Because now she knows she can still control the dynamic. But if you respond differently, if you remain steady, grounded, emotionally in control, something shifts in a way that's almost impossible to fake. You don't chase the inconsistency. You don't panic in the silence. You don't try to force clarity where she's creating ambiguity. Instead, you stay centered. You respond, but you don't overextend. You engage, but you don't lose yourself. You remain present, but never dependent. And that's when the realization fully hits her. You're not the same man anymore. You're not operating from a place of needing her attention. You're choosing to engage with her. And that difference, subtle as it seems, changes how she experiences you on a deep emotional level. Because now, for the first time, she feels something she didn't feel before. She feels like she could actually lose you. And that feeling doesn't push her away, it pulls her closer. Her energy becomes more consistent. Her effort increases. The subtle tests disappear, replaced by genuine attempts to reconnect, to invest, to rebuild something that now feels valuable again. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. This entire process was never just about making her miss you. It was about transforming how she perceives you. From predictable to intriguing. From available to valuable. From someone she assumed would always be there to someone she realizes she has to appreciate or risk losing. And the most powerful part? You didn't force it. You didn't manipulate it. You simply stepped back into your own self-worth and let her experience the difference. Because at the end of the day, a woman doesn't truly miss a man just because he's gone. She misses him when she realizes she may never experience that same version of him again. And once that realization settles in, everything changes. Now the only question left is, will you maintain this version of yourself moving forward? Or will you slowly slip back into being the man she once stopped valuing?